Welcome, gladiators, to the inaugural episode of the Colorful Voices Let's Talk podcast. Already our first episode, we're making mistakes. It's all good. We are committed to breaking down barriers and demystifying mental health issues across the board. Our conversations are designed to be relatable, informative, and uplifting, offering a safe space for our guests, our listeners, to learn, connect, and be inspired. Each week, we'll explore colorful themes with kindness that create empowering opportunities, and we're gonna let's talk. As the episodes go on, I'm not gonna read as much because I'm gonna know, but from my heart, we're gonna learn, we're gonna grow, and we're gonna connect together. I am your host, Navy veteran, crime survivor, brother, CEO, advocate, but more importantly, gladiator, Timothy Jones. And today's episode is going to be brought to you by Forge Health. Forge Health is committed to understanding your unique story, being your trusted partner, and helping you through paths difficult and unfamiliar. There'll be more information on Forge Health later to come in our episode. For our introduction, I am so excited to introduce my guest today, our first guest. And I do need to read this because I want to get this right, my friend. We are thrilled to have the longest tenured spokesperson in the Biden-Harris administration. We have the press secretary of the Department of Veteran Affairs, Mr. Terrence Hayes, with us today. Mr. Hayes is a decorated combat U.S. Army veteran, having been awarded the Defense Meritorious Service Medal and Bronze Star Medal for his service in Iraq from December 2006 to March of 2008. On today's episode of Let's Talk Hope, Mr. Hayes is here to share his incredible insights from the release of the 2023 Student Veterans, Terrence. That's how it goes there. On today's episode of Let's Talk Hope, Mr. Hayes is here to share his incredible insights from the release of the 2023 National Veteran Suicide Prevention Annual Report, as well as his own inspiring story and some awesome holiday advice as we discuss several VA resources and programs. So, hello, Terrence, and welcome to the Colorful Voices Let's Talk podcast. Good afternoon.
Thanks, Tim. Thanks for having me, man. I know before we jump into this very serious topic, I have to do it. I have to say it. Go Army, beat Navy.
Oh, man. Because it's you, I will let that slide. I will let it slide. But we know it's always about the Navy.
I have mad love for all my shipmates out there, and for all the thousands of sailors out there serving currently, and for all of the men and women who have served in the greatest Navy in the world. Thank you for your service.
Oh, and I want to echo that. And being a post 9/11 veteran, I want to say to you, thank you for your service. Our post 9/11 veterans, all of you, thank you, because if not for your service, if not for the rededication to mental health that the VA really focused and prioritized, I wouldn't have been found and wouldn't be able to be present to even have this podcast. And so it's your service that we are indebted. And so I receive and I also share as well. I'm curious, I was doing your research and doing my research, man, Jacksonville, Florida. I as a Floridian myself, as a fellow Florida boy, from Jacksonville to Washington, D.C. That's a great journey. So I'm really curious, because it's Go Army, what inspired you to join the Army?
Yeah, I'm one of those Florida men that you probably see on the internet, doing some crazy stuff. But no, what inspired me to join the military is I just wanted to do something a little different. I actually was on a course to go into school, and I had a couple of scholarships. and that was the path that I was going to take. But then, weeks after I graduated, high school, uh, in the Army. It was well before my birth, but I knew they had that touch point. So again, I wanted to do something just a little bit different from my other fellow classmates, and I took that leap. And I really believe is one of the greatest things that I ever did in my life. It's led me to this point in time right now with you and I having this discussion. But again, it's something about just having that sense of selflessness and joining a team that is bigger than yourself, and then that's what I wanted, and that's what the United States Army and the military afforded me.
Outstanding. And during your transition from service to higher education, we do know that there's difficulty when you make that transition. How were you able to navigate that transition from service to higher education?
Yeah, I think fortunately for me, I was able to accomplish my educational goals while I was still in uniform.
Oh,
And so I was in a prime position to obviously balance, my service requirements, but also to deliver on that promise I gave to my mother, who was not going to sign me into the military because unfortunately I was still 17 when I actually swore in. So I needed her to actually, serve as that guardian, that parent to allow me to do so. I made a promise to her that I would complete my education since I wasn't going straight to college,
mm,
and I'm proud to say that I was able to make good on that promise to her. So again, I was able to balance both my service requirements and school while I was in, and thankfully, when I did transition, I was in a position to have, not just my bachelor's degree, but two master's degrees as well, and in a prime position to get out there into the everyday workforce and try to do some great things as well.
that is, I found when I transitioned that was difficult, but not as difficult as I thought. It the difficulty for myself really was just getting my treatment through the VA, and then
Right.
communicating that with the school, and then marrying that together. And so it's really great to hear that you how you balanced both of those and the results from there. I always always ask this question,
Hmm.
and so and this is a part of the a why. What did it feel like when President Biden appointed you press secretary of the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs? What,
That's the magic question that everybody seems to ask me. And it's funny because shortly after the election in 2020, I received a phone call from the Biden Harris transition team uh, asking me about my interest in serving in this position. And let's just say that I was pretty shocked. I was humbled, excited, surprised, all those emotions. And I think the first question I asked them was, how did you get my name and how did you get my number? And I never forget the individual saying on the call, "Hey, this is the president elect. We have everybody's number." So it was pretty funny that conversation, but um, again, it was just a humbling feeling to know that I would be able to assume this position, a position that I really take very seriously each and every day that I walk into the Department of Veterans Affairs to serve as the spokesperson for the department, to serve as the spokesperson for Secretary Dennis McDonough, to serve for the spokesperson for President Joe Biden. So again, I'm a representative of veterans. I'm a veteran myself, so I know exactly what that means. And to
yes.
be able to serve as that voice for veterans like myself, like you, like my wife, like my family, my friends, is huge. And I don't take that lightly. And I'm hoping that I'm doing a great job. Obviously, veterans will be the judge of that, but I believe that um, it it was a very important ask of the president to seek that me out to do this job. And
Yeah.
I told the president, I told Secretary McDonough, I tell my colleagues here every day, and I tell veterans who I come in contact with quite often that
Yeah.
it's the honor of a lifetime to do this job. And I could not say no to the president to do this because, again, it gives me that opportunity to continue my service and to selflessly serve those who continue to serve the best nation in the world.
You are doing an outstanding job, Terrence, and I would not be so callous enough to speak for all veterans, but I will speak for this veteran, and I will say thank you so very much because you are um, shining. I see it. I see it every time that you're representing us and you're speaking, and it is always a fulfilling and joy when I see you speaking on behalf of the VA for us, and knowing that passion that you just shared with our listeners, and I want to thank you for that.
Appreciate it, my friend.
As we transition into why we're here into a very difficult topic, we know that one veteran unaliving themselves is too many. We know that the VA has done a tremendous job in recognizing the complex lives that our veterans have and lead that contribute to veteran suicide. Last month, the VA released the 2023 National Veteran Suicide Annual Report.
Mm-hmm.
Would you be able to speak to today's suicide rate and its impact on potential life lost?
I can, first and foremost, to any family, any surviving family who has lost a loved one, lost their veteran to suicide. Um, I give you my deepest condolences. That's the first thing. Second, veteran suicide is VA's number one clinical priority. Um, it's something that we discuss each and every day in this building, from the top down, from the bottom up. Until we get to zero, we're not satisfied with any of the data that comes out. That said, the 2023 report actually just hit the street, and for those who don't know, these numbers are actually for 2021, because obviously it takes a little bit of time to calculate this data, be able to triple check the data, and that's why the report is kind of based on how it is. So these numbers are for 2021. The report that just dropped last month shows that we unfortunately had 6,392 veterans who died by suicide. Again, that is 6,392 too many. And the sad part is that that's actually an increase of 114 lives over the last year. From 2019 to 2020, we saw a decrease in suicides over that 2 year time frame. But this 2021 calendar year, we saw an increase of 114. Now, that said, that we know that the pandemic played some role in that. We know that there was a greater financial strain. There was, housing instability, anxiety and depression levels raised because of lack of, connectivity and that social, aspect that we live on every day. Sometimes there are barriers to healthcare because of the pandemic. So we know that many of those factors play a role in that increased number. But again, each and every person in this building is fully committed to getting that down to zero. And the great thing is that we're going to work tirelessly, not just here at VA, but with our federal partners, with our local governments, with our nonprofit organizations, our government agencies across the country, local, state, regional, to ensure that we indeed, hopefully, solve this problem of veteran suicide.
Thank you so much, Terrence. In 2023 this year, VA had an expansion of secure firearm storage initiatives and training, gun lock distribution, collaboration efforts, and communication and outreach efforts. Uh, that coupled with VA Save, which was launched
Yeah.
in 2023. Can you provide our listeners with a brief explanation of the program and what VA Save is about?
Yeah, thanks for asking that, because I think sharing these programs and the things that we are working these initiatives to hopefully get to that zero number is critical. Because again, we need all the help that we can get. This is a collaborative effort. And VA Save, as you said, it was launched in 2023, and it's a free online or in-person course that helps friends, family, caregivers, just anybody act with care and compassion if they happen to come across a veteran who is in crisis or having thoughts of suicide. The acronym SAVE represents the important steps involved in suicide prevention. So you have the S, and that's know the signs that indicate a veteran, that indicate a veteran might be thinking about suicide. You have the A, that's ask. Ask the most important question of all. Are you thinking of killing yourself? You have V, validate the veteran's experience. And lastly, you have the E, which is encourage treatment and expedite getting help. Yeah, this SAVE training has made a huge difference in saving lives. And again, I encourage any veteran, any family member, any caregiver, anyone connected with a veteran who may be faced with any crisis or having those thoughts of suicide to please use VA Save as a tool, as a resource to help that individual in that time of crisis.
I want to echo that. That's important. And but my coaches have always said, when it's important, you repeat it. And for our listeners, if you are a friend, an ally, you have a military family, a family member in your family, in some form in your family, it is almost imperative that we go through the VA Save program so that we can recognize the signs, that we ask the question. And I love that you asked, are you thinking about killing yourself? We have to be descriptive. We have to be open and honest so that we are there for our veterans. And so I appreciate that's the way to ask that question, is just to open and ask it, validating the experiences, and then encouraging and empowering, getting help, getting support. That is those veterans that are reaching out for support are so strong, and those veterans who want to reach out for help. And that's the thing. All veterans, we know, want to reach out for help. It's just how do we reach them so that they know that it's okay.
Right.
And so I love that the VA launched this program this year, and it's going to continue to transform families and continue to save lives. As I was reading the report, I saw the Keep It Secure campaign, and I was really fascinated about the campaign, and also wanted to see if you could provide a window into the future phases of the Keep It Secure campaign.
Yeah, Tim, as we know, one of the main sources of veteran suicide, or just suicide in general, has been the use of firearms. And the Keep It Secure program or campaign actually helps us promote awareness about simple steps that veterans can take to increase safety, including firearm storage, secure medication storage, supports for veterans and families, and connections to resources. We know that increasing time and distance between a person in suicidal crisis, and their access to lethal means can be that difference.
Yes.
So that's why the Keep It Secure campaign is huge. Um, the one thing that we know that if we can leverage any bit of time in between that thought of suicide and the access of a firearm or whatever other means available, that time is critical. And again, the Keep It Secure campaign is going to help us do that by promoting that awareness, that importance to keep your firearms stored properly, locked, secured, same as medication and all those other resources. So again, this is just another tool out there, brother, for us to have in our toolbox to whip out at a moment's notice when we know that, we're faced with that crisis, or we know of someone faced with that crisis.
Absolutely. And the more tools that we have at our disposal, the more tools that we have in our toolbox, the safer and the probability of us surviving an episode and being able to work, then take the lessons from surviving that episode so that the next episode we're even in a stronger position to
Absolutely.
to survive and continue to learn the lessons. The Veterans Crisis Line has grown immensely. It has grown. It has expanded in services. I've used the Great Veterans Crisis Line. I've used the Veterans Crisis Line while I wasn't in a crisis. I just needed to have someone to talk to so that I wouldn't be by myself, that would understand. What has been the economic impact from the launch of 988 in the Veterans Crisis Line?
Yeah, I would say first I want to give a major shout out to President Biden, to Department of Health and Human Services, and to the FCC for having the wherewithal to know that we needed to shorten that crisis line number. Yeah. It's difficult enough when you're in a crisis to, deal with what's going on around you, but then to remember a 10-digit number in the midst of that is just uber challenging. So these leaders said, hey, we need to shorten this down, and hence we have the 988 number. And the great thing about dialing 988 is that you can just press 1 if you're a veteran, and you're immediately connected with the resources, the same resources you would have had it by dialing that 10-digit crisis line number that we initially had. So again, this is critical. Now, the crisis line has fielded more than 1.3 million contacts.
Wow.
That includes calls, that includes text messages, that includes the traditional hotline as well. So you can clearly see that it's working. Yeah. Now, some people will say that, that's an increase in calls. That must mean that, we have more crises. That means we must have, more mental health challenges. And people can make numbers mean different things. Well, we look at it as this. The increase means that more people are receiving the care and the immediate access to mental health care that they require when they need it most. That's how we see this. So while that number may be rising, that's a good thing, because these individuals are getting the care, they're getting the resources that they require immediately. So that's a good thing. Again, the calls that's a 12% increase of calls from the same time frame from last year. We've seen that when people call that number, that 988, and press 1, that the average speed to get to a live person is less than 10 seconds. That's big time, especially for those who have gone through crisis, to know that every second counts. So again, we're seeing major gains from the 988 hotline. And again, all credit goes to President Biden, to the Department of Health and Human Services, and to the FCC for seeing this need. And major shout outs to our veterans, their families, their caregivers, those individuals who are actually making the call.
Yes.
Again, this is why it's here, people. It's here to help folks in the middle of a crisis. And we want you to continue to share this information with folks because you never know when you're going to be that individual in that crisis.
Absolutely. And I want to echo that. Major shout out. President Biden, thank you. Department of Human Services, thank you. FCC, thank you. And everyone keep calling, keep using the resource. This is our resource to utilize to ensure that we are connected. It is. I didn't know the time from a live person, from the call to a live person, was 10 seconds. That is,
On average, it's actually about 9 seconds.
wow.
And but it's never longer than 10 seconds. So again, um, that's a live person. That's a person who's standing ready to assist you in that crisis. So again, and then also there's that text mechanism as well for our folks who tend to love to text.
Yeah.
We have that readily available too. So again, we're trying to reach our veterans where they are,
Yeah.
and that's critical in these times of need.
I I love this, and I love this because we are reaching the veterans exactly where they are. We're going to meet them, and versus expecting them to really come towards us, depending on where their situations are at. So I love that aspect there. Uh, the VA's Suicide Prevention Research Impact Network, the Sprint program.
Yeah.
How can I'm learning about the Sprint program now? And so my first question is, how can we continue to support the VA in supporting the
Right.
4 veteran groups that are being
Mhm.
specifically targeted?
Yeah, thanks for asking about VA Sprint. This program is to accelerate VA suicide prevention research, which is critical, as
Yeah.
we know, as we've just talked about, using every mechanism available to us to get to that zero number. But it's to improve care and reduce suicidal thoughts and behaviors among veterans.
Yeah.
Sprint serves as a national collaborative network of Veterans Health Administration researchers and operations partners and seeks to maintain up to date information about VA suicide prevention research and operations projects, collaborate with VA's Office of Mental Health and Suicide Prevention to identify research priorities, facilitate development of innovative research proposals through a planning award mechanism and field based meetings, and foster professional development among suicide prevention researchers. So, again, this is just another program, another resource, another tool available to us to help us in our efforts to overcome and ultimately defeat veteran suicide.
I love that. What I love about the program with research and with every tool that's being utilized is that it also allows for creativity, for minds to think outside the box of ways
Yes.
to end this problem, this tragedy. And one of my last questions that I wanted to ask you, because I
Mhm.
was fascinated by this segment that aired. I have been telling everybody about this segment that I saw on 60 Minutes about quantum
Mhm.
computing and its benefits, and really the what our research and scientists are looking at, how it could really revolutionize civilization. That's a big old pie uh, to really dissect. What I'm really curious about is, how does the VA see
Mhm.
quantum computing and technology and the
Yeah.
advancements of quantum computing, excuse me, the advancement of quantum computing technology revolutionizing VA's healthcare system?
Yeah, all great questions. We know that artificial things like artificial intelligence, AI, can play a big role in helping us defeat suicide. VA understands that veteran suicide is a very complex and multifactorial problem, as you just stated.
Yeah.
It requires innovative and data driven approaches that help us inform and drive the broader set of suicide prevention efforts. So, AI is just another resource, another tool to help us do that. We know that things like synthetic data, which is generated healthcare information that accurately mimics real world conditions impacting veterans, to help train computers to identify risks, tailor recommended treatments, and engage care as early as possible. These are things that are critical. VA is not alone in recognizing the role of synthetic data or AI in reducing and preventing veteran suicide. We're actually applying the use of this data in 4 distinct areas to predict risk of mental health distress and to test the impact of care pathway modifications for cognitive distress to advance suicide prevention. So the first thing is predictive modeling. Uh, Predictive modeling improves VA's understanding of the current state of key data efforts in suicide prevention by confirming and clarifying ongoing challenges that veterans face. The second thing is quality improvement. Quality improvement enables VA to assess clinical variation, the overuse, underuse, differential uses of, and waste of healthcare practices and services with varying outcomes in mental health triage and treatment. The third is population health management. Population health management identifies veterans undertreated for mental health concerns and develops care pathways to engage and connect with veterans at high risk. And lastly, optimizing diagnosis and treatment. Optimizing diagnosis and treatment uses novel data sets made safe through synthetic data that help identify veterans with undiagnosed physical or mental health concerns, increasing their risk of a crisis or suicidal ideation. So again, we understand that AI, synthetic data, and all these different ways of looking at things are helping us, again, in our efforts to hopefully overcome and ultimately defeat veteran suicide.
Um, Outstanding. We are in a very revolutionary time in our history, and it's scary for many that are out there with technology, with change. There are so many threats to society as a whole, and that we are all living in. And what is wonderful for our veterans is that as we are going through this time, incredibly difficult time in our history, we are also seeing incredible revolutionary advancements in our healthcare. We're seeing the advancements in our mental health treatment, and it's amazing to know that this at the VA is helping to lead the way when it comes to our veteran treatment and healthcare. And I want to applaud you and thank you for that, for being the spokesperson on that, Terrence.
No, thank you, and again, this is all of us, working collaboratively to ensure that we make sure that each veteran, has that opportunity to live, man. And we got to get to zero. Yeah. We got to get to zero. We got to do everything we can to ensure these men and women who have given so much for our country have the resources available to them when they need it most.
As a fellow veteran and as a fellow veteran that's had numerous attempts to unalive themselves, I cannot thank the VA more than for stepping up and being present in my life. And I know that this holiday season is tough for so many veterans, not just veterans, but those without family this holiday season. And we know that it could really play a role. What message would you like to leave and have for our veterans in our community this holiday season, who might be facing or struggling?
Yeah, I think the main thing is it's actually 2 things. One, you're not alone. Know that you're not alone. You have folks in your corner, readily available to be there for you. So never feel that you're alone in whatever situation you're dealing with. And two is the campaign that we have right now, the don't wait, reach out. You know, if you are in that crisis, don't wait. Pick up that phone, text us, phone a friend, go next door to talk to your neighbor. You know, just reach out to somebody, but don't wait. Do not wait. Reach out. We are readily here available, especially here at VA. And I want folks to know this because I think a lot of folks do not know this and it hasn't garnered a lot of attention. But recently, something called the Compact Act was passed into law and signed into law. And what the Compact Act does, it allows us the opportunity at VA to ensure that men and women, veterans who have served our country, that if they're in the midst of any emergent mental health crisis, that they can visit any VA facility across the country. They can go to any emergency room, private facility across the country and get that emergent care that they require right then and there at a moment's notice, whether they are enrolled in our healthcare system or not, whether they've come to a VA facility in the past or not, whether they receive benefits from VA or not, they can get that emergent care free of charge when they need it most. That's the important aspect about the Compact Act. And that's why we at VA take this issue of veteran suicide so seriously. That's why it's our number one clinical priority. And that's why we have used these resources. That's why the president is serious about this problem. That's why Secretary McDonough is serious about this problem. That's why our clinicians at VA are serious about this problem. And we want to ensure that folks have access at a moment's notice to where they don't have to drive, 30 or 40 miles to get to a VA facility. They can go to their local ER, be taken care of, and not have to deal with the stresses of a bill, or know that, hey, I'm not enrolled in VA healthcare, but I can still get that care that I need because of the crisis that I'm in. That's huge. So again, I want everybody listening to this amazing platform to know that you can share this information with veterans, their families, their caregivers, because again, this is a critical resource, a critical tool that we have at our disposal to really save lives, ultimately prevent suicide.
I could not agree more. And I'm so happy that the Compact Act is signed into law. That is the Compact Act alone for unhoused veterans. Unhoused veterans, that is going to save many lives. And hopefully, I believe, in having worked on a lot of unhoused veterans, that will help increase the VA trust rating, because also the VA's trust rating is, one of the last things here, the VA's trust rating is higher than it's ever been. And I want to highlight that because when I first came into the VA system, I did not trust it. I was very vocal about not trusting the VA system, not trusting just anybody, just based on the story. And that is not the case today. That is so not the case, to the point the VA has been at every aspect of my life where I've needed support. The VA has been there to step in. And when it comes to tackling veteran suicide, I love the fact that the VA looked, number one, is at how we were being treated, how we were receiving care, and prioritize that focus. And it really is showing when it comes to the trust rating, the signing of the Compact Act. There's so many solutions and resolutions that the VA is putting together for our support, that it's amazing. That it increases resources and support for veterans. I have a question to ask you here. This, as we wrap up in closing here, I wanted to throw a softball question at you.
Yes.
I'm bad at pitching, by the way. So, but I love color. Colorful Voices is the name of the company,
Yeah.
and I always want to know what anyone's favorite color is, and there's a reason for that. So, but I want to ask you this question: what's your favorite color and why?
Yeah, I'm sad that I'm not wearing my favorite color, and you actually are. And so my favorite color is actually blue.
Okay.
Uh, Anyone that knows me or my wife can tell you that I have a lot of blue attire. Sometimes she thinks I'm wearing the same suit, which I'm not. I just have multiple suits in the same color, as I do like shoes and things of that nature, shirts and stuff like that, because I just love that color.
Yeah.
But I love the color blue, man. I think that the color blue just it represents when you look in the sky, you know,
Yeah.
the various different, you know, dreams and aspirations you can have by just looking in that sky, man. Looking at, you know, looking up and seeing that sun, seeing those stars, seeing the moon, seeing, you know, just what the world has to offer and everything like that. Just it just means sky's the limit. And I think that's what blue tends to represent for me. And that's why I believe that it's probably my favorite color, man. It's the color blue.
Man, thank you so much, Terrence. Thank you so much for taking the time with us today, for spending the time with us to educate us on the 2023 Veteran Suicide Annual Report, along with letting us know, letting the listeners, letting out myself, educating us on resources and tools that we can add to our tool belt. And for everyone listening and watching us, there will be resources at the bottom of the description. You'll be able to find all the added resources here that we've discussed today, that you'll be able to click on the links, and they will be available on wherever our podcasts are available. Those resources that we discussed will be readily accessible. I want to thank you for being our first guest. I know that we're going to be speaking more, because the VA is always doing and creating opportunity, revolutionizing the healthcare system for us veterans. So I would love to spend more time speaking to you about the Compact Act
Mm-hmm.
at another date. But I want to thank you for taking this time, this holiday time, to share and spend a great holiday message with us. Thank you, Terrence.
Yeah, Tim, thank you again. And thank you for you having this wonderful platform for, you know, men and women like myself. So kudos to you and your wonderful team for doing this. And I'm very humbled to be the first. That means it's only up from here for you.
Yes.
And you know, but I'll be the test, you know, guinea pig or whatnot. But I look forward to tuning into this amazing show as it
Thank you.
continues to grow. And I look forward to joining again sometime in the future. So again, I wish
Yes.
you and your team nothing but the best. Happy holidays to each of you. And again, you know, as we say, you know, as my father told me back in the day, hey, reach one, teach one.
Yes.
You know, share this information. It's really vital that we do that, and that we're there to help save lives.
Thank you so much. In that vein, gladiators, thank you for listening. Thank you for joining us as we talked hope. Veteran suicide is not an easy discussion. It's not something that us veterans, we like discussing and talking about. But we must talk about it. We must address it. One veteran unaliving themselves is too many. Together, as a full community, we can and we will get to zero. But it takes all of us. So, in closing, stay tuned for our next episode, where we'll continue to let's talk all different conversations. But specifically, our next topic next week is going to be on healing. So I hope that you'll join us for our next episode. Thank you so much for your time, and we'll see you next time. Awesome.
Yeah, man. Thanks again, my brother.
Thank you. And Terrence, I nervous there, but the nerves was really looking at there, reading the script, but really wanting to have this conversation because of this importance. be a great conversation. Thank you for
No,
giving me the opportunity.
and I understand fully the importance of this conversation, especially to you.
Yeah.
And that's why, again, we're very humbled that you even reached out to connect with us to have this conversation, my brother. And again, hopefully, I was able to meet your expectations. And but ultimately, my hope is that veterans watching your program, if they are in that crisis or they know anybody,
Yeah.
that they can take advantage of those resources.
You not only met my expectation, you far exceeded my expectation. My expectation is like with yourself, is let's get the information out. Let's get the information out to our community. Let's get the in our hearts.
Yes.
Speak. Doesn't need to be perfect. No, nothing's perfect.
Absolutely. Absolutely, my man.
Yeah, the message is perfect because of who it's coming from. We're going to save more than one life, and this platform, this episode is going to live, and for whoever is going to be able to hear this at whatever time that they are. And I think that's also the beauty of us living in this techno advanced society that we find ourselves. Thank you. By the way, how was the game, the national game?
Yeah. So I didn't go to the game.
Oh, okay.
So earlier I had to go. Well, I was supposed to go to Nats Park to do this networking comms thing, and so I sent many of my teammates and colleagues over there. Today's been a busy day.
Yeah.
It's been a busy day. I was unable to do that, but they were able to take advantage of it, and they got to connect with some wonderful people over there. But yeah, everything's just busy times as we're leading into the holiday, man.
Yeah.
So you know how it goes, my brother.
Absolutely. Well, a couple of things, Terrence, that's new is I was onboarded to the National Small Business Association's Leadership Council.
Sweet.
I get to serve. I have the honor and privilege of serving on the Economic Development Committee. All these awesome ideas that I have for economic development outside of just colorful voices, I get to bring forth and be party to that. Last night we had the 3RBA Gala, which is affiliate of NGLCC, and just to see all of the awardees receive their awards. One of the awardees was a Black trans man, and hearing his story. Yeah. And seeing his family present, his mom, his sister, and his uncle, and it brought me to tears. Yeah. And our Woman of the Year, Enterprising Woman of the Year, was our Maria Montagna, our City of Pittsburgh spokesperson, and to see her just shine in all of her beauty, and it was such a beautiful night to see our community rise.
Man, it's great that individuals like the gentleman you just said briefly ago, having his family there to support him. How far we've come. Now that said, we have a long way to go.
Oh yeah,
but to be able to hear that story, for that individual, for him to share that in an open forum.
Yes.
Shows the progress that we are making, and it shows that again that we can, defeat some of these issues, and overcome them. And I'm thankful that you're able to share that, man. Again, this is what makes us better, man. This is what makes us better.
Terrence, we were at our beautiful Soldiers and Sailors Museum Hall. We had our awards gala, no protests, none of that. It was a beautiful night. The only thing that sucked about last night is that we lost to the Patriots, and that's a whole different conversation.
Yeah, I saw that, and
I was watching First Take, so. Terrence, I'm not going to keep you any longer.
Man. Well, let's connect, man. You got my number.
Yes, sir.
Information. So let's definitely connect. But again, thank you for everything you do. Thank you again.
Absolutely.
For allowing us to join this platform, and hey, let's circle back, man. If you want to talk about anything else.
Absolutely, and I'm gonna be like, Terrence, let's talk. Let's get you back on the podcast. Let's
doubt,
get
my
you
brother,
into
no
the
doubt.
in this platform. Once we get this edited, Studio Me is going to support with the editing. I'll send the edited version to you so you can see
Cool.
it, and then it'll be released on December 23rd. So
Perfect, man. Perfect. Well, I
awesome.
appreciate it again, man. And happy holidays to each of you. And I thank you for what you do.
Absolutely outstanding. And as ending this, go Navy.
I'll let you get the last word.
Yeah.
Take care, my
Have a
brother.
good one, brother.